Over 1 million cinema lovers have already subscribed to Film Companion. What are you waiting for? Hit the bell icon and join our film family. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on our Oscar 2022 special. Rahul and I are going to be getting into some of the major categories and sort of discovering what's exciting, what we have the most love for, what are the films that you guys should catch up on. Rahul, how are you feeling about the Oscars? There's a whole conversation about, do the Oscars matter? What's your take on that?
I mean, yeah, of course they matter.
I
in fact, they've become, for me, they've become slightly more significant in the last 2 years because of the pandemic. The lesser films last year, as we saw. So yeah, they do matter. Award season still matters. Like, if not here, maybe abroad they do. And also it's a great indicator for what to look forward to, because a lot of films release in India in the next 2 weeks. A lot of Oscar films and all. So for us, technically it's a film festival which comes once a year, and otherwise we don't get to watch it in theaters. So yeah, in the long run I think it matters, and I still wake up early morning on Monday here to watch it. So
me too.
As long as I do that, I think, you know, we are sorted.
Yeah, I think it's also like you said, a sort of a curation almost, you know, of the films that you must see. And I have to tell you that I hadn't seen a lot of them, and it was such a joy to catch up, because really when we talk about what was the best, it's best and best.
Yeah, exactly.
है ना? It's not कि बहुत कोई गंदी फिल्म है and
spoiled for choice.
You're spoiled for choice. You're spoiled for choice. Best original screenplay, Rahul, what's your choice?
I think it's a toss-up between Worst Person in the World and Licorice Pizza right now. I mean, I'm not even going on basis of like the previous award, the lead-up awards function so far. Both of them are pretty much split it, but for me these were my favorite films too, as far as screenplay is concerned and all. And I'm a big screenplay nut when it comes to a lot of these films and all. That's the first thing I tend to even write about in my reviews. I tend to describe a writing a lot. So I really enjoyed these two films because you can't really see the screenplay in both of them. And I think those are deceptive, right? Like then when you come out and think, where was the writing? But you know, that's the whole point of it. It's sometimes when it becomes as invisible as editing or sound design or something, I think that too is great writing. I watched Worst Person in the World very recently at Sundance, and I'd have to say it's one of my favorite films of last year.
I haven't seen that, but Licorice Pizza for me was just so interesting in a very loose, rambling, episodic, shaggy dog kind of way, and so unexpected from a director like Paul Thomas Anderson. And it's just, you didn't know where that story was going.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a mix of nostalgia and, you know, like a personal space for him. And I just felt it was a very non-Paul Thomas Anderson film at the same time, but I think he was trying something new with this. I'd not say it's his best film in the last 10 years, but it was definitely one of his most ambitious, I'd say, because it's almost too safe in a way, but at the same time, you know, those two actors, you know, can pull off anything.
Absolutely.
And they made the writing look very, very fluid. And it's difficult to, you know, see a screenplay category where Paul Thomas Anderson isn't the favorite. So yeah, I mean, I'd pretty much between these two I'd be.
But did you have any love for Don't Look Up? Because I thought that was, it's a divisive one, isn't it?
Very divisive.
Yeah.
I watched it when it came out. I was enjoying it while it was going on, but as soon as it was over, I was like, that was really remote. That felt like a little sketch, you know, like a extended sketch. But I did enjoy it. Like, I loved Leonardo DiCaprio in the end. I love how it transitioned from satire to serious when we didn't expect it. And very relevant film to our times. I just thought it was a bit of like an all-star vehicle. You know, like Tim Burton's Mars Attacks back in the day.
There was nobody who wasn't in
There was
this
nobody
film.
who wasn't, right? It was like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham,
Correct.
but like there.
Correct.
And it was very sharp writing, but I'd still say, you know, we've seen better. Like, it wasn't one of my favorite films. Sure, it's great. It's a nice little nutshell of what we're going through, you know, today. But I don't think it's an Oscar contender. No.
So for me, licorice pizza, and for you, split between the two.
Yeah, split between the two.
Okay. This is a tough one.
Very strong category.
This is a tough one. What did you fall in love with? For me, genuinely, I mean, I fell in love with The Power of the Dog when I saw it. But my most recent falling in love has been Drive My Car.
Yeah, I mean, any of them would be worthy winners, honestly.
Yeah.
And you know, even for me, like Drive My Car, of course, first of all, it's an overwhelming favorite to win a lot of categories, and it has been doing, you know, really well in the lead up. But I think I really enjoyed, of course, Power of the Dog, and even Coda for that matter. I thought it was, you know, one of the small indies that hit Sundance, you know, and I watched it then, and I was like, this is the kind of bittersweet nice little film that I can see winning a screenplay award. Like even when I was watching it, I was like, yes, this is a feel good film about difficult things, you know. So I just thought that I think this is one of the strongest categories. It's really tough to say.
Yeah.
But again, I feel because it's a Power of the Dog year, I think it might
go to
just
Power of the Dog.
take it. Yeah.
You know, for me, Rahul, just the silences of Drive My Car and the way he threaded that narrative together with such a sort of measured hand.
Yeah.
You know, over 3 hours. It's 3 hours.
It's 3 hours, yeah.
I mean, it's and you're just watching, and it's sort of, this is a film that breaks over you like the waves on a shore, you know, dheere, 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 and then you're just overwhelmed, and it's so beautiful. You're right, it is most likely going to be Power of the Dog, but my vote is for Drive My Car.
Yeah, I mean, I would totally see that happening too, because also it took me a couple of days to finish Drive My Car.
Yeah.
Not one sitting.
It's a tough sit.
It's not a one sitting film.
Yeah.
But it is rewarding.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Oh. Who is your best supporting actor?
I think it's Troy for Coda, because
he's picked up everything. He just picked up the BAFTA.
He's picked up everything, and there's a hot streak, right? Like it's probably campaigning, it's probably a bit of everything, but he was really, really good and moving in that film. Like I think one of the only few times I really shed tears while watching a film last year was during Coda. And I remember those scenes that he did with his daughter in the film, and of course he's the second you know, deaf actor to have been nominated overall, and his wife in the film was actually the one who won Best Actress some 20 or 30 years ago. So it is it's such a feel good story in the end, but I don't think it's entirely because of that. It's on merit also that he deserves to win. But you know who I'd really have loved to see in this category? Ben Affleck for Tender Bar. I really missed him in this category, because Tender Bar is one of, you know, a very warm film. I saw it didn't get a lot of great reviews in the West, but I really liked that film, and I think Ben Affleck is in such an interesting phase of his career where he's, you know, sort of looking back and doing more personal roles and trying to repair his, you know, very troubled last 10 or 15 years through his roles. You know, he played an uncle in Tender Bar, and it just was such a good performance, and I really thought he would have sort of been nominated for this. So that was a bit of a miss for me in this category. Not like he would have won, but it would have been nice for him to be rewarded.
Just see him there.
Yeah, for a good performance.
Okay, you said you cried in Coda. Did Belfast not bring out a few tears?
Very difficult circumstances I watched Belfast under, I think. I watched it at the Red Sea International Film Festival in Saudi Arabia, and it was the last film of the festival for me. And when I watched it, first of all, the Irish accent is, you need subtitles, you know, you need it.
It's tough.
The subtitles were in Arab, so I had a tough time following that film. It was also my last film of the day, so I was feeling a little sort of sad that I could not feel the full force of the film, because I had no idea most of the time what they were telling each other. And I knew that it was a very important film because it was coming from a very personal space.
Correct.
It was coming from the director's own childhood.
Yeah.
And the history of Ireland was sort of, but I could not get into the film for various reasons, but I did feel like I was missing out while watching that film.
You should see it again.
I need to watch it again.
I really like that, and it's not through the film, but at the end of it, it really hits you.
I know.
And Judi Dench is so good.
She is. She's so good.
So
She's
good.
just. I was really moved by her in the film. She's like this peripheral presence at the corner of every frame in the film, and that itself is such strong acting because she doesn't really speak much in the film.
Yeah, she doesn't. Either. She doesn't. Who else is exciting
but I think
for
it's
you?
West Side
it's
Story.
Going to be Ariana DeBose.
Yes, it's going to be. What did you think
just fantastic.
of West Side Story?
You know, I really enjoyed it. So I saw it when it released, and it was sad because of course there was just me and my husband in the theatre. Literally, there was like nobody saw it, and sadly that's true even of the US. But I just found it so glorious and so magical, and she was just fantastic. And it would be of course also so great to see a woman who is openly queer, who is Latina, Afro mix, the first ever nominated. And I read somewhere that it's Spielberg's, I think, 8th nomination.
That's pretty crazy.
It's insane, and he's been apparently nominated for Best Director in every decade.
Oh wow! Okay, since the 70s.
Since then. I mean, it's just it's insane, like how prolific and how artistically on top of his game he still is. Yeah. You're not a fan, I'm saying.
No, I kind of liked West Side Story. Again, I didn't watch it in the theatre, so it didn't hit me as much.
So the bigness of it, that opening shot.
Exactly. And Third Wave, and also I didn't end up watching it there. I watched it on Hotstar recently, and I kind of enjoyed the film. Again, I didn't watch it in one sitting. I am a big fan of musicals, especially the ones that have been made in the last 5 or 6 years in Hollywood. This was of course a remake of a classic. Not a big fan of the classic either, again because I watched it too late in life.
Right.
But
you're a big fan of Hollywood musicals?
I am.
Really? Because I find them very hard. Because the singing scene is often wall to wall.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a conflicted relationship as a Bollywood fan, right?
Correct.
To like a Hollywood musical.
Yeah.
But ever since I've been, watching films, I think Moulin Rouge was one of the first. When I was very young, I watched that film. Ever since then, I've been trying to watch all possible musicals that I've made.
Les Miserables work for you? Because that's the one that broke my back.
Les Miserables was difficult. It was difficult, and I was not happy with it receiving so much Oscar love also. There have been hits and misses, and Tick Tick Boom was one of my more favorite ones from last year, more than West Side Story. Also because I think it sort of appeals more to my generation. It is about turning 30. It is about insecurities.
Was this just too old?
I think this was kind of old school in a very nice way. I liked seeing it from time to time, but again, I won't personally get like sort of swept away by it. I think Tick Tick Boom spoke to me, which is very rare. Like La La Land spoke to me. That's one of those universal films that do it. So I think these were a little more niche musicals this year. And I do prefer Tick Tick Boom over West Side Story, but I entirely expect her to win the Best Supporting Actress.
And it will be glorious.
And yes, exactly.
Denzel Washington's 10th nomination.
That is something.
Most nominated black actor in the history of the Oscars.
It almost feels like every film he does get nominated.
It's
and this
incredible.
one especially because the film didn't get a lot of love in awards mostly. Difficult film to watch, but can be rewarding depending on whether you like to. But again, it was some performance, and it I mean, there's no surprise that anything he does is sort of almost default award nominated stuff, and he is that. He's almost like the Lata Mangeshkar or the Meryl Streep of
default mode. Wo to hai.
Yeah, it's very easy almost. So it's easy to say that, oh no, they could have nominated the more younger and deserving actors, maybe someone for Licorice or someone from the other films, Bradley Cooper maybe, but it's Denzel Washington.
But the narrative is for Will Smith.
It is, and totally justified.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
I watched it, a big tennis fan, so
Correct.
for me it
you
was
must have seen more into it than I did.
I grew up watching Richard Williams in the stands while
Really?
watching, like a lot of Serena and Williams and Venus matches in the 90s when I was really into 90s and especially the women's tour. For me, one of the most entertaining aspects of that decade and little later was watching Richard Williams in the stand. I didn't know a lot about him. I just knew he was a bit of a nutcase in the stands.
Right.
He used to be very emotional, very expressive, a bit of a problem father. To see that story on the screen, first of all, very simply told, nothing fancy, very basic almost. But Will Smith.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He is so good. He really gets it. I'm not even saying he's the imitation of Richard Williams. He becomes Will Smith also, and it's an extension of his Pursuit of Happiness role, which I thought was one of his better roles in his career. And I've been a big Will Smith fan since he got nominated for Ali back in 2001, and I really wanted him to win that time. 20 years later, he's still around, and he did so well. It really made me very emotional while watching the film, because I could see why the Hollywood narrative was moving in his in his this thing.
It's the whole thing of it is time.
It is time, and also if you go purely on merit, it's still between him and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Correct. I was going to say that for me, Benedict Cumberbatch was the same level.
He was very good in that film.
And what a difficult role. How many layers,
so many layers, like a mix of toxicity and vulnerability, which is so difficult to do. Like that film had so many layers. And he's pulled off a lot of accents in his time.
But this was amazing.
This was something, like Western and all is just, I could feel scared when he used to come on screen. Because anyone who's probably gone through the whole bullying thing, and he plays it so well in this at the same time.
He's terrifying.
He is terrifying, and in the end you feel bad for him, which is weird.
Yeah. Yes. So it is going to be Will Smith's year.
It is Will Smith's year, and I really hope he wins it. I will wake up only to watch him win it.
And so what will he say?
And what will he say, and just to see him. Because last year I woke up with almost no hope that Anthony Hopkins would win for The Father, but when he did win, I think I've never screamed as loudly in a while, because I was just all for that performance.
It was fantastic.
I think the widest open category here.
It is.
Nobody knows.
It is.
Yeah.
But look at these women.
I mean,
phenomenal.
Yeah. A Miss was worst person in the world. Renata.
Yes.
She was, that the thing about that film is it looks very easy. It looks like, oh, here's an actress playing her age and playing a version of herself.
Do you think the same for Alana Haim from
I think so.
Pizza?
So it looks,
it looks
because
easy,
they are that age.
Amazing.
And that doesn't mean that it is easy. That doesn't, in fact, it's all the more difficult. There's more pressure to be yourself and to expose yourself on screen, to put yourself in the role. And I thought both those roles were overlooked. Alana Haim was also excellent in the film, and she just had this presence, her face, such a distinct face also. So I just thought they went with a few legacy names here. Jessica Chastain.
I mean, many of these women have already won.
And Nicole Kidman. Yeah, they've all been nominated multiple times.
They've also won.
Yeah.
They've also won.
Exactly.
Nicole Kidman, Olivia Colman, they all have won. Oscars. Yeah.
So it would have been nice to see some new names here. I can't really predict anyone in this, but my favorite was Olivia Colman.
Me too.
Yeah.
That film just broke me.
Exactly. Like
it haunted me because I have children and I have never seen the act of motherhood represented in such a way, and all moms have sometimes very dark emotions, very dark feelings, and to see it play out and to, I think it's a stunning film.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
she was fantastic.
She was so good and such a deceptively, you can't even place it morally, right? Like it's such and it's so honest. And I did end up, I did end up speaking to a lot of, like I wanted my mother to watch it, for example. And I did end up speaking to mothers who actually watched it and all. And I think they were pretty shaken by it.
Absolutely.
And for me, it just came from
because you don't acknowledge those feelings, no?
Yeah,
you're not
you don't
supposed to
actually
feel that.
say it.
Yeah,
like,
never.
It's one of those things, and I just feel for that significance of that, and especially because of the motherhood and all, I just hope and wish she wins it. I'm pretty sure she won't, because a lot of others have been winning the awards. I don't mind Kristen Stewart winning it for Princess Diana either, because for Spencer, because she Of course, it's done to death. Of course, so many actresses have played Diana over the years. It's one of my favorite roles over the years, and after Crown, it's really difficult to top that.
Right.
But she did it very differently, and Kristen Stewart wasn't seen in the role. I know it's a cliche and all, but you can't really see her, and it's a very different kind of film. It's almost an art house film. And to see her sort of immerse herself in that role, I feel like it's a culmination of a lot of years of transformation for her. She's been coming up in such a different way from Twilight, you know, and I hope she gets rewarded for it. But apparently, it was an upset to get nominated itself.
Right. It's the only nomination the film has won.
The film has won, which I didn't expect. I was quite surprised Lady Gaga did not get her nomination. You know, I really enjoyed that film. House of Gucci.
But it's another very polarizing
one. It is very polarizing. I get it, and I totally. It's like a proper masala Hollywood film.
Correct.
People are having fun on screen, going crazy with accents. I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. I did not.
It's essentially Bollywood.
It is. That's why, and Bollywood doesn't do it like that anymore.
Correct.
So it was so much fun.
Correct. Now, before we go into Best Director and Best Picture, Rahul, tell us about the foreign film category as well as the documentary where we have Writing with Fire, of course, from India, which is incredible, but not a documentary that a lot of people here have seen. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I watched Writing with Fire last year at Sundance. I think the few Indian journalists who were covering it watched it.
But we were asked not to
But we were asked not to write about it then for a lot of reasons. And now I think people are getting screeners. A few journalists are getting screeners. I am being asked to write about it because the Oscars are coming. I thought it was a phenomenal documentary. When I watched it itself, I was like, this could take India to another level as far as you know, non-fiction filmmaking is concerned. I thought it was one of the best journalism documentaries I've ever seen, and it's such an important thing, especially these days with journalism under fire in India, across the world, in war-torn countries, in this country. It was such an important film, and it is so well made. It's just not the message. It's I remembered a lot of scenes till I think midway last year. I wanted to watch it again. I will watch it again this year. If people, I don't know if it'll release on streaming, you know, but
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and it's just such a good film. It's easily one of the best Indian documentaries I've seen, and we have been making a lot of good documentaries. I'm very glad that it came under the Oscar radar. I did not expect it because it did very well at Sundance. It won the Popular Award, which is a big award there. And it's just nice to see it get rewarded in the West. I just hope more people watch it here because it really is made for this country, and now more than ever they need to watch it. It's a counter narrative, and you need to watch something like that, and journalists especially will feel inspired by this film.
That's wonderful. From the foreign films, Rahul, I've only seen Lunana.
Oh, you have? That's the only one I haven't seen.
Okay, so it is just the most beautiful film. Also because I have a very, very soft place in my heart for Bhutan. So it is of course the only Bhutanese film ever nominated. It took them, the stories about what it took to even to submit the film are incredible, because when you go in to submit your film, the director Pao couldn't do it because Bhutan is not even listed, because Bhutan hasn't submitted a film for I think 23 years. Okay, then he tells the Academy, but I want to submit, and please, so they add Bhutan, but they don't add the language Dzongkha. So he can't, again he's like, but you have to add Dzongkha so I can click on Dzongkha. And then this film gets nominated. It's like this fairy tale movie story, you know, and it's a wonderful film about a teacher who goes out to this remote school, which is like an 8-day hike, and what he learns there. He wants to migrate desperately to Australia. He doesn't want to be in Bhutan, and then he has to do this. It's a government job, and then what he takes away from that experience is just beautifully done.
I would love to watch it. I would also love to watch a documentary about how the film
got
nominated.
Exactly. How they made it, how they submitted it. It's amazing. And then the other day I saw pictures of the Academy luncheon for all the nominees, and there he is in the Bhutanese.
That's lovely.
It's just, I wanted to clap. It was so lovely.
It's so great because India in the documentary section and Bhutan in the international. It's never going to happen again, I feel. But
what are the other films like?
But of course they won't. So neither of them are favorites. Like I don't think Writing with Fire will win. I think Flea will win the documentary.
I've heard it's excellent.
Again, you know, I was so happy that I was one of the first to watch it at Sundance.
Yeah.
So when you're watching these films premiere at festivals, you don't really know what they'll become, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so
You have no idea.
Yeah,
I
you
saw
have no
Parasite.
idea. Exactly.
I had no idea. You know, we saw it at
And
Cannes,
then
and
you
it was
see
my
it.
favorite film above Once Upon a Time in
really?
Hollywood. Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it. But you have no idea.
But you have no idea.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
see it become this beast through
Yeah.
the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And of course, Sundance is known for documentaries. So 3 of these documentaries are Sundance premieres, like Writing with Fire, Flea, and Summer of Soul.
Yeah.
I watched all 3 there, and I did not expect Flea to make history. You know, to be nominated in animated feature, to be nominated in documentary and international film, which is something.
Yeah.
I loved that film. I remember writing about it, and I was like, you know, nothing I write can do justice to it, because the audacity to make a non-fiction film in animation is something, because it is straddling so many mediums and so many narratives at once. Of course, Afghan refugee story, there's a queer angle, but it's just, I just could not come to terms with how they chose to do that. Just for that, I feel it'll win. Like, there's no doubt it will.
Yeah, it is the
and
favorite.
there is obviously the clue is that it's nominated across 3 categories,
Correct,
so it will
correct.
win this one at least.
Yeah.
In international feature, again, the clue is Drive My Car is nominated in Best Feature. And this.
And this, yeah.
So that
4 nominations that
4
film
nominations.
has. Yeah.
It is a favorite year. I was just disappointed not to see Parallel Mothers in this list, and not to see something like Titan.
Yeah,
No.
which I haven't summoned up the guts to see. I just, how it's so bloody and so gory, and you know, I just don't know if I can handle it.
I mean, if you're having an international feature section, you may as well nominate the ones that put themselves out there like
Correct,
that. And
correct.
That, and I was also, I watched Parallel Mothers last week, and I really thought it was a excellent film. But again, you know, such tough films in this category, it's really difficult to say which wouldn't. I was again surprised not to see Annette in any of the categories.
Yeah.
It's again a very divisive film, difficult to like musical. One of my favorite musicals again last year, but it really spoke to me. Like, again, it was about, you know, a child and a father, and it was a bizarre film at the best of times, but I just enjoyed the filmmaking so much in that. Yeah.
I think it's Campion.
It's Campion, yeah. She's
Yeah.
won everything,
won everything.
coming into this.
Yeah.
And it's not just the narrative, it's a very difficult film
It's
to
a
make.
brilliant film.
Yeah.
It's a
and it's such a
brilliant
difficult film to just to sort of conceive
Maneuver, yeah.
and to maneuver.
Yeah.
And you're essentially telling 3 different stories at once. And yeah, it was a phenomenal film, and it was really, for me, again, that was not one film I watched in one sitting. Of course, she will win this category, but I did think they messed up a bit with the nominations. Like, they gave the sort of, these were the most obvious nominations. They need to extend this category from 5 to 8 or 10, because if you're having best film 10, I think best director.
I know. How does that work?
How can you say that Guillermo del Toro
Correct.
is not nominated
I
for
love
best
that
director?
film. I love Nightmare Alley.
And any film that he makes, it's so audacious, it's so different, and so that is directing too. As much as Belfast, as much as, you know, it is difficult to make small films, but you can't ignore those films either. Like, it's just the rhythm of those films. So sure, yeah, Campion is, there's a no, it's the
So
easiest
she
category.
will become the only woman to be nominated twice, and only the 3rd woman ever to win it, after Catherine Bigelow and Chloe Zhao.
Oh right, Chloe Zhao just last year. So it's a great time,
thing,
and
94 years, 3 women.
I know, and in the last 10 years itself, there have been 3.
Yeah. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
My favorite in this would be, it's tough. Like, my favorite were the international films. Honestly, it's like worst person. Like, those 5 could have been nominated in this, and nobody would have questioned. But again, I'd say Power of the Dog sort of really
is the one.
I mean, it's just that kind of film. I wouldn't like call it Oscar bait exactly, but it's just made for, you know, for these kind of acknowledgements because nobody else will. It's a difficult film. Nobody may have watched it as much as West Side Story or online, especially on streaming. But you know, I would have wanted something like Tick Tick Boom or Licorice Pizza or Nightmare Alley to win, but it's not going to happen. We know that. It's just the narrative.
Yeah.
It's the campaigning. There's so many things that go into winning an Oscar to being nominated for it, and Power of the Dog pretty much swept everything till now.
Yeah.
And
so Netflix might win its first Best Picture.
Oh yeah,
Oscar.
I didn't think of that actually.
Yeah. Think about it. That will really tell
that
you.
Will change things.
That will change things. Yeah. How the power equation has moved. For me, my two favorites of the year were Power of the Dog and Drive My Car.
Yeah.
I don't think Drive My Car will do a Parasite.
No,
I think it's a long shot. It's a tougher and less accessible film in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. And they won't. You know, the Parasite, that's the whole thing about Parasite. That was a moment.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen for a while, I think, again. And I was quite surprised to know that Japanese films haven't been nominated before this.
Yeah.
The international feature.
It's the first Japanese film to get 4 nominations.
Yeah, which is bizarre because their films have been consistently very
Excellent.
good. Like, I didn't. Also, yeah, we just tend to see that, you know, so many South Korean films have been doing well lately. And it's so good that South Asia, Southeast Asia is finally being considered for the kind of cinema they make. And it's very nice that it's coming full circle and coming to Japan now, because they have been the most consistent over the last 2 or 3 decades.
Absolutely. So it's going to be an exciting Oscars, and I think there's so much debate about, not debate, but so much sort of hand-wringing about who will watch and is it relevant. And I just think that for people like us who love the movies, it's a great thing.
I mean, all the politics, everything washes away by the time, you know, the Oscars come. You just want to see artists being rewarded for, you know, really coming through a tough time in the last 2 years. It's not been easy, and I think they deserve this moment. It's also technically an in-person Oscar after like 2 years. So, so I definitely will be watching, if nothing, just to see Anthony Hopkins present the Best Actress award this time.
Indeed. Thank you, Rahul, and we will exchange notes once we have the winners.
Absolutely.